This mic, microphone's the bane of my existence. Anyway, great day. I thought I'd bring a prop because this is what the market has been doing today. It's just been going insane. So anyway, lots and lots and lots of news to cover. So I'm just going to jump right in and say hi, everybody. And let's go. Hang on a second. I can't believe even my little clicker's not working now. Whoops. Okay, let's do this manually. All right. Math, Money, Freedom, quick market update. Disclaimer, of course, edutainment, not investment advice. Hope everybody's doing good. First of all, we are about to break $2 trillion on the crypto market cap, which is huge. So it's a big movement. We were down at 1.2 trillion, so it's gone up $800 billion since the 22nd of June. So that's a massive, massive move for those of you who care. Now, the next thing that I like to do is... my bags, a funny comment, is look at the Golden X Watch. So this is a new little segment that we'll try to touch on every day, and I'm trying to plot exactly how many days out we are from the 50-day crossing the 200-day moving average. And I reckon it is about, depending on the trajectory, anywhere from 7 to 10 days away. So we will see where that goes. Now, as you also noticed today, Bitcoin has pumped pretty substantially. It was up 3,300 at the high. It's down about $150, but we'll see if we can get above 3130, and ETH is 3293. We'll talk more about those two in a minute as well. So let me figure out why this silly thing ain't working. So manually going, this is extremely bullish, this chart here, and a big thank you to Sanjay as well for sharing this with me. This is the Bitcoin options watch. Now, I keep a very close eye on all things options traders. This is where the big money plays. This is where the hedge funds play. This is where the really professional traders play and where they place their bets. So this is the change in open interest since yesterday. And the big bets right now for September, $90,000 call options on Bitcoin. So there's somebody betting Bitcoin's going to make a very, very, very big move very soon. I stuck a little bullish sign there as well because this is crazy bullish. And if you go out to 12/31, which is basically New Year's Eve, people are betting on $120,000 and $200,000 strikes with pretty big volume as well. So that is crazy, crazy bullish. But there's more. So another 15,000 Bitcoin left Binance. People are still pulling their crypto off the exchanges. And this is about $670 million worth. Just disappeared. It went off Binance to some custody organization, some company that's owned by Coinbase. So that's another very, very bullish sign of things are going crazy. Now let's talk about Argentina. I always talk about the dominoes falling. This was a live interview published on Twitter by Documenting Bitcoin. And they were asked some questions. Okay, how is Argentina going to deal with hyperinflation, etc., etc.? And Fernandez, I think he was the president. I may have that wrong. Basically, they were exploring a CBDC. And when asked, would they recognize Bitcoin as legal tender like El Salvador did? And they said, well, we don't want to go out too far, but maybe. And the benefit of going to the Bitcoin standard, would nullify their inflation problems. And they've been plagued by inflation. I think the currency is down something like 85% over the last year or so within Argentina. And I know we have some audience members there too. So hope everything's good, and I hope you guys like this news. So a little bit about miners as well. The hash rate is jumping, and the difficulty of the Bitcoin protocol is actually jumping for the second time, which is great. And what this basically means is more miners are coming online. All the miners that left China have found homes in places like Kazakhstan and the US and other places all around the world. And soon we'll be back up to 15 terahashes or something like that by, I think, August 27th. So very, very good news. And normally the higher the hash rate, the price follows. But in this case, the price is just going up regardless. So it doesn't even care about the hash rate anymore, which is kind of splendid. And just as a quick graphic of what the hash rate looks like today, here you are. You can see the big spike from the bottom that was basically around, I think, 21st of July to today. It's come up and it's about 30% off of its all-time high. So it'll be back up there in no time. So that's not a concern. making sure the protocol is kept very safe and secure. Now, a little bit of news on ETFs and regulation and everything else. This was a long article, but it's important to address where the world is going with regulation and everything else. So a lot of FUD concerning regulation over the past week. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing about it, but the interesting thing that came out about this is, number one, he believes again, and he repeated again, that Bitcoin would pass the Howey test, which means it's not a security. It's good news. He's not sure about everything else. There was rumors as well that he believed Ethereum would pass, but when asked about support for a Bitcoin ETF, he signaled yes, it's going to happen pretty soon, as long as it invests in futures on the CME. Very important to know, because he's very bullish on that. And he also loves Nakamoto's invention. He believes it's very, very real, and he's a big believer in Bitcoin. But the rest, I'm not too sure. So again, we're still on a little bit of red alert around regulation around all of the old coins as we go forward. So that's that news. Now, in terms of Ethereum, let's look at the Fibonacci levels. Ethereum has been incredibly strong lately. And a lot of people ask me, so where do you see it going? Where do you see the resistance levels? Well, here I put out some fib levels on a chart for you all to see. And the key things, we're bumping up against the $3,400 level, which is the first fib retracement level we've got to hit. The next one is 38.26, and after that is 4,400. And once we blast through 4,400, it'll be off to all-time highs. And then we've seen what happens before. Once it gets into this price discovery mode, it can go absolutely bonkers. But when we look at the fib level, we have here, I think it's the 0.786 will be the hardest one to breach, and after that we should go to 4,400 pretty quickly. Now, comparing this to Cardano, and there's a lot of Cardano fans out there, Cardano hit $2 last night, and their fib levels are a lot higher. So basically, Cardano has getting closer to its all-time high faster than Ethereum is from the rebound. So the critical levels on the fib levels for Cardano were $1.93, $2.20, and $2.50. And my target still remains about $3.50 for Cardano this bull run. Many people say it's going to $10, but we'll see what happens. But that's kind of the chart update from these guys. Now, a lot of questions as well came in as what happens when two cryptos merge. So we put together a little slide on this one, which is super interesting as well. So blockchain mergers, first of all, it's kind of strange because blockchains are supposed to be decentralized autonomous networks. So how are they ever supposed to discover each other and merge? So it just shows you when they do that, it means they're pretty centralized, which is something that we look at very carefully. Obviously, the more centralized something is, the more scrutiny from regulators it will have as we go forward. Now, a little bit of history here regarding some past mergers in this space. So there was the case of Tron's acquisition of BitTorrent. I know a lot of you like BitTorrent right now, but this was very positive for Tron's price way back then. And BitTorrent was acquired by the blockchain, migrated onto the Tron network. So in terms of what's happening with Polygon here, they have, let me pull up this here so you guys can all see. It is a historical moment because, at least as far as we know, we've never seen two full-blown blockchains merge like this before. Second of all, the impact on the network, it allows for native smart contract capability within Polygon through Hermes, the acquired target. And the impact on price is likely positive, but we'll go to the chart in a second. But it does call into question, as I mentioned, the decentralized nature of these beasts. Now, in terms of if anybody does own any HES out there for Hermes, sounds like a purse company or something, they will swap one HES for 3.5 MATIC as they go forward, and that's kind of the deal. So obviously, if it was truly decentralized, it would be impossible to orchestrate that type of stuff. But here we are. So let's look at the chart as well. A lot of people say, oh, why has MATIC not moved? Why is it so slow? I get this question literally every day. And but Polygon is up 142% in 24 days, which I know people would like that to happen every day, but that is absolutely spectacular, although it did get beaten down a lot in the previous thing, but you can see of late it has completely moved up, and the acquisition news did not bother it in the slightest. So it's very, very positive. Now, in other positive good news, so FTX has committed, and they're aiming to have derivatives trading in less than a year within the US. They have lots of trading options outside the US, but in the US, for them to do that, they need to acquire a company that works with the CFTC, which I think is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. And that's the easiest way to do that, is for them to acquire an existing company and then weave it into the FTX platform. So that'll be great for all of us. Hopefully it comes sooner than later. I personally am on FTX and a few other platforms, but it'd be nice to have that ingrained in the actual platform rather than have to go elsewhere to trade crypto options. And FTX are very creative when it comes to options and derivative trading as well. So this is also very interesting. It's a report from KPMG, and it talks about the institutions investing in crypto. Basically, so far this year, according to KPMG, and it's a global survey, in the first half of 2021, it more than doubled. The institutions more than doubled the investments in crypto-related assets and digital assets, and that is on pace to probably 4x by the end of this year. So institutional adoption is like nothing before. And related to that, of course, as well, and for all of you who are big fans of the traditional banks, this is interesting. So here you have a list of all the banks that, many of them, some of these names you know, they prevent you from buying crypto. But what are they doing behind the scenes? They're investing in crypto. So like some of the names, like I won't even mention them, and I don't want to be, knocked back or anything else, but you guys know the stuff that UBS said to investors, and many of these players, they reserve the ability to invest in crypto for the, very high net worth investors. So it is a bit of a shame, but that report was super interesting to see the amount of money that all these banks around the world, 55% of the top 100 banks are investing heavily in the crypto space. So another feather in the cap. This stuff is extremely real, and these guys are investing very hard. Now, in terms of related news as well, Israel is all in. So the Israelis have some very shrewd investors, and there's a house called Silver Castle, and the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange announced the country's first Bitcoin-linked bonds that will trade on TASAP, and it'll also have an exchange trading platform for private companies to get more involved in crypto assets and maybe put crypto on the balance sheet and everything else. So again, adoption is everywhere, and it's crazy. So let's talk about a very piece of happy news as well. This was a lady called People Pleaser. She was not known at all. And a year ago, she was jobless and worried about income. But look how NFTs and the web and Ethereum has changed her life. Now she doesn't have to worry about money anymore or getting a job. And her story is truly remarkable. Anyway, she was involved in this Fortune NFT play. And I think $1.3 million was sold. Fortune committed half of the take to go to charity, which is also great. So we saved a person, helped a person find financial freedom. $650 million goes to charity. And Fortune are keeping the rest of the Ethereum on their balance sheet from the proceeds. So it is amazing. And again, the crypto community is bringing financial freedom to a lot of people. That's awesome. Now, a little bit of economic outlook news. I don't want to be a downer, but this was a great report from Seeking Alpha. Again, thank you, Sanjay, for sending it to me. Basically, it looks at the forecast for the United States, which is probably representative of what's happening around the rest of the world for the next 10 years. And they believe, based on analysis, that the growth rates, best case scenario for GDP will be 1% per year, which historically growth rates for GDP is about 3% going back the last 30 years. So 1% is kind of sucky. And the key reasons they believe it will continue to be a bleak economic outlook is because of deteriorating demographics, basically too many old people to support in the society, deterioration in saving rates, people aren't saving as much, negative real interest rates, that's the reason people aren't saving as much, record debt levels, people are borrowing like crazy, and low employment growth. So here, this article, the real cool thing is last week I spoke about what I saw between inflation to stagflation to ultimately deflation. And this article talks about kind of stagnation and stagflation for quite some time to the future. So it was kind of aligned with my view of the world, which is interesting. Now, a little bit more, back to some good news. So digital assets, as I mentioned before, are changing the lives for everybody. But this is really, really cool. Some of the stats that came out of this report. And it surprised me. I kind of knew, but I didn't have the data behind it. But it was a Harris poll for USA Today. And it said, well, I think something like 11% of white Americans own cryptos, 23% of black Americans and 17% of Hispanics own crypto, which is huge. And it gets even better. Half of black Americans and half of Asian Americans and 49% of Hispanic Americans say they're very familiar with crypto and they're ready to jump in, versus 37% of white Americans. So that was really good. And 1/4 of all LGBTQ, I think it is, own, or 13% of LGBTQ or something like that, I can't remember the exact numbers, own crypto as well. So everybody has access to life-changing opportunity. So that was really, really positive. And a very final thing for today, although there's a lot of news, a lot of market activity, which is huge, and we'll talk more about that afterwards. And Bitcoin has gone up $104 since I started. I'll take that. A quick scam alert. Everybody be careful. We try and make people, it's one thing to be able to make life-changing wealth, but you can lose it in an instant. So everybody be hyper vigilant on how you store your crypto and everything else, and what you get from others. So this is a Cardano related story. Apparently on Reddit, there is a fake Daedalus website, which is giving out fake Cardano wallets. And it's funny because the original website, I think, ended with .one, and the scam website ends in .io. So it's not the only website to be ending in .io that is a scam. So be very, very careful where you get things like wallets and everything else, and just don't trust anybody on the internet. And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So with that, I will open up to Q&A, switch cameras, and I'll hopefully make it quick. It's been a long, long week, but so happy to see everybody here. And switch cameras. And let me pull up the questions. A big thank you as well to Gage for getting them to me. All right. Oh my God. There's tons of questions today. Lordy. So, yeah, my brain is fried today. All right. From the guy. If you had $500 to invest today, which crypto would you buy? I'd probably buy Solana. I still think it's good, but let's check on the price. I was trying to get some myself under 40 yesterday. In fact, speaking of that, yesterday I went live. I was watching the Solana chart just as I was about to go live, and it dipped to about $39.60. And if I could have hit pause on the video, I would have gone and bought some Solana. So not financial advice, it's just what I would do. So Solana is up again. It's just broke above $44. So it's up more than 10% since yesterday's video. But everything's moving really fast. But I do like Solana because I think it's very undervalued for what it is. So that would be what I would do with $500. Zab Judah. Do you find it unusual for an internet scale blockchain like Elrond to have Bitcoin's token supply? And no, a lot of people are copying the token supply. In fact, there's a whole bunch of cryptos out there that have like 21 billion instead of 21 million. And now there's even cryptos that want to beat it. They want to have 2.1 million or go less to try and make it more appealing. So there's a lot of, one of the metrics we look at is when you have more than 1 billion tokens, it's automatically kind of like a red flag. I know Cardano has more than 1 billion, but then when you see things that have literally hundreds of billions of tokens, like, yeah, it just gets really ridiculous really fast. So that's my take. It is not unusual. Everybody tries to copy the big granddaddy Bitcoin. Eric, I watched your link video from like 3 months ago. Price target was about 600. Still that bullish? Yes, I am. once the whole DeFi world takes off, there is only one Oracle. They own the whole market. So yes, and I try and keep my price targets and price prediction models up to date. I'm actually working on a new one for Ethereum, and I'll work on that over the weekend and have some new price targets, because my original price target was 8,900, and I'm just getting more and more bullish on Ethereum, despite the little bit of regulatory risk that's out there. Ride beside. Is Sol a buy at 44? I just answered that. Oh my God. Or do we wait for it to come back? Yeah, I don't know if anything's going to come back. I mean, everything's just going up so much right now. Let me see. Since I've just been on, everything is still rising. I don't know. I hope so. I'm waiting, though, because I'm very patient. I don't like paying. I don't like chasing anything. So if there could be like a vicious manipulated wick for Bitcoin, it could drag things down momentarily and bounce right back. So yeah, I would say probably wait. 44 is too high. Yosarian, do you think a nation state may be buying Bitcoin? I think there were a couple of countries that are definitely accumulating it quietly. Those countries that have central banks that have gold are looking to hedge their gold, especially with the terrible, terrible gold performance. They're beginning to question their gold strategy. And historically, central banks are the ones that have this kind of core asset. But I know, just seeing the moves, the places like Turkey and Kazakhstan and the Ukraine, they're selling central bank gold. What do you think they're buying? They're buying dollars? Nope. Equities? Nope. Bonds that yield negative yields? Nope. Betcha they're buying Bitcoin. And they're doing it very quietly. Not a lot, but they're accumulating slowly. And that's why I see a big trend in the future is for these type of nation states to start having state-mandated mining, crypto mining businesses. I know that Iran is probably doing it right now because they're using that to bypass embargoes for trade. So yeah, it's happening. We just don't know it yet. They're not going to come out and say, oh yeah, we just added 10,000 Bitcoins to our balance sheet. So Jason, is Sol still a buy at the current price? Everybody's interested in Sol. Yeah, I try to wait for a little dip, hopefully. I've been watching the crypto activity over the last couple of weeks, and when Fridays are really good, especially Friday mornings and lunchtime Fridays, when things bounce just like Bitcoin bounced today, it's normally a good signal for the weekend. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin goes straight to 50,000 this weekend, and Ethereum could go blast through 3,800 on the way to 4,000. Who knows? Just speculating right now, but I'm just seeing so much strength and so little weakness, and every indicator is hyper bullish. So thank you for the question. Catch your AD with prices high as they are. What's the best to purchasing listed coins? There's a couple of things. So the biggest laggard from my retire on crypto list, which is up over $50,000 from the 50,000 we put in, and we did a little bit of dollar cost averaging into it as well. That's up over 50,000, and the average return is about 78% per crypto. So let me take a step out for a second. The market is completely bonkers, everybody. For those people that are new to investing and you're getting, 144% in 24 days or something like that, that's just not normal. It's a crazy, crazy time. And that's why it's a great time to be alive, but don't get used to these types of returns because it's not sustainable. But one thing that actually hasn't moved, and it's only up 30% in 6 weeks, which sounds horrifically bad these days. Oh my God, my return is only 30% in 6 weeks. Like, imagine going to a mutual fund manager and saying, dude, you only give me 30% in 6 weeks? I'm not happy with that. But Algorand is my laggard of all the things that I own. So even things like Chili's and Engine are outperforming Algorand. So we're going to dig into maybe what's going on, maybe some dumping of tokens, etc. But we'll see. But just look at the retire on crypto list and calculate the deltas between price predictions and entry prices and try to find a happy balance. Have you looked at CQT Covalent? No, Eduardo. We try to stay away from things outside the top 100. In fact, in that news we just finished, we did a lot of number crunching again today. And we have kind of the top 100 tokens analyzed from a quant perspective to qualify them for a deeper dive. And it's very interesting what fell out of that. So more on that later. But no, CQT, we have not looked at. Thank you so much. What is causing S Fund to pump over the last few days, or is it just because of small market cap? It's a small market cap following Bitcoin. So you got to remember when you look at these little small market caps, they might have a large number of tokens in circulation. But if you look at the volume, if the volume is very small, it only takes a little bit of money to make them blow like crazy. So everybody bear that in mind as well when you are analyzing these things, because that is going to be absolutely critical as we go forward. And then you can see exactly how these things pump. And it doesn't take a lot. You know, somebody could, even sometimes $10,000 investment can make a number 400 altcoin go up 30%. So always bear that in mind. And I know a lot of you get excited too. If you see something go up 30, 40%, it's like, oh, it's moving. I need to jump on it. Don't get sucked in. Do your homework and make sure everything's solid. So before you jump in, of course. The Mortgage Brothers team, would a black swan outage event that turned off all BT servers destroy Bitcoin? No, it wouldn't. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. Power outages, computer crashes, etc. It's a fully public, documented, stored ledger. So you just wait for them to come back up again, or for the network to come back online. Not a threat at all. And that's, you can't kill this thing. It's the cockroach. Quite nothing against cockroaches, but literally it cannot be killed. So Bombiggy, if all roads lead to Bitcoin, is it not better to convert my entire portfolio to Bitcoin? I don't need the money now and I'm in no rush. So just like always, hodl. I think it depends. If you want safety and you have a 5-year time frame, Bitcoin is definitely the safest place to be. Now, especially if you look at all the regulatory scrutiny coming down the road at what is considered a security, there might be penalties and there might be some negative impacts from regulators on things like some of the old ICOs from back in the day, including Ethereum. But in the meantime, it's going to take the authorities a long time to catch up, because they have so many scammers to go after first and put them in jail before they start going after the big fish. So that's why I like the big market cap cryptos with the solid backing, the solid teams, the good relationships, the people that obey laws and don't screw people. And the more decentralized something is, the better as well. So these are all the parameters we look at very carefully when analyzing cryptos. So what is a good platform trade options? There are many, but Deribit and there's a Ledger X, I think, and a few others. And you can also trade futures within some traditional brokerage accounts as well. So there's many options, but it depends. If you're looking for things like micro options, you're better off with some of the new players. But be careful out there and be careful with margin. AC Hicks, any opinion on buying, selling virtual real estate? Decentraland Earth, too silly? Yeah, I don't get that. People are absolutely fascinated by the metaverse and Decentraland and buying real estate, but I have a problem. I like things that are very finite, and I know they say, "Oh yeah, this little pixel could be finite somewhere," but I think it is. I think it is silly. Even the NFT JPEGs, the cyberpunks or whatever they are, for millions of dollars each, I just don't get it. I prefer something tangible, something I can see, touch, plant something on. So that would be just be me. And if you want to invest, forget virtual real estate, invest in some good stocks or some good cryptos. And here we are. Bitcoin's about to go off the all-time high for the day. Keep up the good juju, everybody. Black Mambo, good to see you again. Do you think Delta's going to crash the market within the next couple of weeks? It's interesting. I've been watching Delta progress all over the world, and it ripped through the United Kingdom really easily and fast, like in 45 days. And even though the sadness is, it is affecting kids, the death rates are really much better than they used to be a year ago. Not from Delta, but from the older version. And I'm not sure the reason for that. Either the doctors or the medicines are better, or people have less symptoms because of vaccines. I'm not sure exactly, but the death rate is far from what it was. Now, there are some red flags that have me very concerned, because what could mess things up is if we run out of ICU beds. Now, Texas apparently has 2 left. The whole of Texas. It's a huge state. They got 2 ICU beds left, and they are scrambling. So certain states are being hit hard. Certain countries are being devastated. Countries that got through the first 18 months scot-free now are being hit hard. I think Japan is one of those as well. So it's really weird how this thing is morphing. So we're monitoring it carefully, and I'm monitoring the hospital ICU bed. That's my key canary in the mine. And if we start running out of beds, then people start dying, and that's when things get shut down, because that's what happened in the past. So Black Mambo, thank you for that question. Nikki Bagato, leveraging physical gold to access cash if one has bought the metal high. Would it take a loss selling today? Good idea. Use the dollars to invest in Bitcoin. Absolutely. Even if you take a 20%, 30% haircut. I mean, look at Bitcoin today. It's up nearly 8%. When I calculate the loss of gold, it's 44% over the last 11 years when you take into account CPI. That is the loss of purchasing power of gold. It is not a hedge anymore. And I read an interesting article as well, I think it was on Medium, is about nobody wants to buy gold anymore. So it's really hard to offload it and sell it. And it's going to get harder because there's no demand for it. The supply is like 3.5% of the supply is coming out of the soil every day. The miners are getting better, more efficient. The miners pump gold out of the ground for $600 an ounce, and then it's worth $1,700, $1,800. So the miners are making money, but people holding gold, I'm sorry to say they're not. So Nikki, yeah, bite the bullet there. At least get rid of half. Gold, even if gold does go to 3,000, you're still going to be better off with Bitcoin selling at a loss. Dale in Singapore, buddy, how are you? What is your take on the Hut 8 story with Bitfury? Some say they're holding down the SP, the price what they're selling. I am not sure about that. I have to dig into that. I'm not aware of that story, Dale, but I will research the Bitfury issue and try to get an answer for you next time. But I am honestly not aware of that. I've been very focused on model building and keeping apprised of what's happening with my big holdings, big stocks, and not that. So deepest apologies. Thank you for your donation as well. Taylor Small. Sanjay, you are too kind. And good emailing you today. Berdzini, too drunk to watch right now. Randy Brown, you need to take a break. You work too hard. Thank you. Thomas Lean, you were wrong. The 80-year horse runs faster than Saul. No, Thomas, it depends on the time frame you're looking at. You can always say, oh, the last 2 days, yes, it did outperform. But over the long term, no. And watch Solana. It is way undervalued. And Carl Hopkinson, CFTC, crime family taking your coin. Yes, exactly. So, okay. I think I have my moderator here saying, hopefully at this stage, no more super chats. Jono, inflation is high and economic growth forecast is dismal. How could you justify investing in the stock market over crypto for the long term right now? So I stopped investing in the stock market a couple of weeks ago, moved to a cash position, and I'm slowly hedging a lot of my positions. Like I put in a short against NextEra Energy yesterday, I think it was. So I'm well hedged, but I'm still holding my big holdings. Most of my equity holdings actually happen to be Bitcoin proxies. So Square, PayPal, MicroStrategy, Tesla, etc. So that's, even if all goes to hell, and I have a theory that Bitcoin will be the new safety port for people leaving the stock market. So that's why, but I wouldn't be investing in traditional stocks. In fact, I'm looking at some traditional banks to short right now, but that's my plan. Tim Kutch, do you recommend taking out initial investment, and would you recommend waiting until it doubles to take out your initial investment, or take out profits like every 20% or so until initial investment is out? That is a difficult question, and there's no hard and fast simple answer. And we are working on something that'll help you. So it'll take into account things like your cost basis, your risk profile, your need, your time frame, and all that type of stuff. And will help you do that. It also ties back to things like price targets and Fibonacci levels. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming soon, and it'll help everybody manage their risk based on their profile. So it's very, very excited, but it needs a little bit of work. Learn to surf, and that's why I didn't have the answer for Bitfury and Hut 8, because I've been busy doing other stuff. Learn to surf waves. Assuming autonomous vehicles are safe and take over, how do you see the expensive classic vintage market considering wealthy people own them. I think people will always want classic cars, like they'll want classic paintings or like a Picasso or a Van Gogh or something like that. And old cars are very, very beautiful, like old motorcycles. So people will still want them. And, you know, the way they take them out for the weekend, it's like going out with the horse and buggy or something and going out for a lunch or whatever. So I don't think old cars will go away. I think I'm more concerned about airlines and taxi businesses. They're all going to be absolutely devastated. And believe it or not, I know people say FSD is a long way off. It's not. It depends on the actual purpose. If it's short haul, inner city driving under 25 miles an hour, you would be mind blown what FSD within Tesla could do as well right now. Max Alto, what are the practical steps for buying long options for Bitcoin? Does it make sense at today's pricing? Well, to go out and speculate, I think a lot of these people that are buying options right now, they're buying deep out of the money and they're buying for a small price. So for example, it would be, let me get this right, it's hard to quote exact numbers, but maybe a third of a Bitcoin to pay for an option that is a strike price going at 3 months for whatever, it just depends. So yeah, it as long as you buy time, I think it's okay. But I always like to buy options in the money, and the options in the money or at the money for Bitcoin are extremely expensive. And that's why you have a lot of people speculating, going out to $90,000 in September and stuff like that. But we'll see. But they can still make money even if Bitcoin doesn't go to 90,000. If it spikes up, like if Bitcoin goes to $55,000 over the weekend, they make a lot of money. So you could if you want, but make sure you buy time at least through end of the year. And I think there's a lot of money to be made on those. MPS Hodler, should I dump algo now that I'm out of the red? Yeah, it's been a laggard, but I said the same thing about Polygon, and then all of a sudden it blew up. I was waiting for the laggards like Matic and Cardano. So when I looked at all the portfolio of things that hadn't bounced yet, they were like the last two left. And then, of course, like clockwork, they came out. The only one that hasn't bounced yet is Algorand. And we'll have a look. Maybe they're dumping a lot of tokens on the market and that's suppressing the price. That could be the issue. Or there could be something else going on. But yeah, it might be time to reassess your investment there. And you're in the green, so you're good. Somebody's mother, if you had an atom bag, were you going to trade it for more Sol? What price target would you wait before you made the exchange? Or just pull the trigger? So we looked at Cosmos there the other day. Let me try to refresh my mind on the price. It's been kind of flat despite the strength in the market. Yeah, I'd try get like $18. You should be able to get $17 or $18 for it and then get out because the upside could be curtailed. So that would be what I would do. And that should be fine. That should be kind of the peak of this cycle. And it might blow a lot higher, but I think it'd be good to get on some other faster horses, as I say. Hamada, what books do you recommend to teach wealth accumulation and financial freedom? Well, in the past, I used to read a lot of books, and now it takes so much time to read them. And I think you can learn as much faster from things like YouTube and reading really well-written articles on Medium and stuff like that. So I think, like with many other things, books, they were nice back in the day, but like one of my favorite book is an options trading book, and it's like 1,300 pages long. And I'd never have time in my life ever to make that type of investment, to read that type of book again. And the last time I read it was 20 years ago. So I think you can learn a lot from just following clever people, listening to what they say. The other thing as well about books is they're dated, and this world is changing so fast. But yeah, you can just Google search on YouTube "FIRE movement" and you'll find lots of ways to find financial freedom, or listen to some of my videos too. Cameron Hicks, I have a small bag at DCA from DCA this year. Have sold an investment. Will have 100K to invest. You put it in fast as possible, or DCA wait for a big dip? Yeah, you never want to go all in. So I think, like all the signs I see, there could be some clouds on the horizon that should cause some turbulence over the next 6 weeks or so is what I'm thinking. So wait for that. If the stock market takes a 10% hit, that might drag down the crypto market as well. Then again, the crypto market might continue to fly. I do see, as I mentioned before, maybe Bitcoin is a new safety haven for everybody. Just Farik, I think it is. Say I have $400, go all in Algorand or go Uniswap instead. I don't know if Algorand's ever going to come back. The one I like is Aave. of those categories. So that's what I would do. Stay away from PancakeSwap. Don't get those confused as well. JRAM bought XRP early on Coinbase, 10 cents. Want to cash out but can't through Coinbase. I can transfer where. Can we adopt a koala bear? That'd be cool. Yeah, JRAM, I think I got that message in Discord today as well. I could have sworn I saw that. I haven't had time to respond. I don't know, because I never bought XRP. I would never buy XRP. I've been telling everybody for years it's garbage. Now, obviously, you can't even sell it on Coinbase. So that's wonderful. And it looks like you're in good profit. See if you can swap it on Uniswap for something. It'd be cool if you could port it over to Uniswap and get rid of it there. Or I don't even know if that's possible. I think you might need to go to Ethereum first. So we'll try dig JRAM and get that answer for you. But I don't know the situation with XRP at all. Not something I follow. True Crypto, please do an update on Algorand. Sure will. And I was a fan of it when I analyzed it because I believe their smart contract platform is top notch. But there's something going on, and it must be tokenomics related. And because that's the only thing that explains that it's holding back, because it got wonderful partnerships, wonderful adoption, and everything else. Miguel Nelo, what are your thoughts on IOTA? Let me pull up something real quick. And let me see. We have the new model. And give me 1 second. IOTA. I'm going to pull up something and be able to tell you really quickly what the thoughts are. So circulating is good. Inflation is 8.3%. It's very centralized. It's not that bad. Of the top 100, from a reg perspective, it looks okay. But I haven't looked at the chart or price predictions on that. So that's as far as I can tell you. It's not something that has a bunch of red flags. It is not that bad. So that's all I can tell you right now. Though, thank you for the question. And thank you for your donation as well. Black Dog, Nick Day, Tit Bluisk, you're all the time there. Mike F, Airstrip 1, Mojo, Trey H, glad someone mentioned Akash. Cryptolicious, Las Vegas Strip Club now accepts Bitcoin. Yeah, they've been accepting it for a while. I read that a long time ago. Bull market now totally confirmed. That's very funny. Nick Day, imagine selling NFTs tied to the animals you help. That'd be cool. That'd be a good idea. And Super Chat, David Boehner, what's the best video to watch of yours? Well, it depends what you want. I cover a lot of different subjects. If you're interested in TA or investing or personalities in investing or structures, there's so much out there. Check out all the different playlists I have, and or else go to my videos and sort by the most viewed ones. I think my retire on Ethereum has 1 million views now, so, and that's old. I did that like when I was just starting out. So people want to retire on Ethereum more than they want to retire on Bitcoin. So thank you for that. DL, how are you? I finally made enough money to buy a whole Bitcoin. What price would you say to buy? Well, we're going to 50,000. I wish you could have got in a couple of days ago at 42. That would have been good. I think 42 for me was anything. If I see Bitcoin 42 and under, I'm buying even me, because I think it's a great way to have a very safe investment. It's like buying a super amazing dividend stock that just goes up the crazy amount. It's hard to say. I have this discipline of not chasing, and I just see it going from strength to strength. There we are. We are close to. Let me check the chart real quick. Yeah, it looks like this weekend could go absolutely bonkers. That would not surprise me if we see 50,000 by Sunday night. So take The easy way is take a third or a half of your allocation and just get some now so you have your foot in the door. And if there's any weakness to 45K or below, get the rest. But we could go to 50,000 very quickly. And congratulations, DL. Having a whole coin is very special. Gabriel Brown, any thoughts on Phantom? I'm most bullish on it. No, it didn't make our list for some reason, and I don't remember why. I will plug it into our model to see if it qualifies. There's a lot of people that are very bullish on hundreds and hundreds of different projects, and we're on the receiving end of that, but we tend to focus on what we believe are the best ones with a couple of flyers. So I will add Phantom to the list. In fact, I added like 15 or 20 to the list yesterday that we looked at. Captain Bly, BTC had a 1 hour green candle, $11.29. Yeah, that's craziness. Charles Kincannon. I think in terms of big green candles, I think we are weeks away from seeing $3,000 candles on Bitcoin in an hour. So stay tuned for that. You heard it here first. Charles Kincannon had a short knee calls puts. I sold the $90 calls against my long position. I own the $50 calls on knee. So that's what I did. And I do that a lot. Swing trade, buy it in the money option, wait for it to pounce, and then sell when I believe it is at a top. And I think $90 is the top for knee. So I think it was the $85, $90 calls. Maybe I think I sold the $85 calls for $5, which takes me to $90. And that's where I put the limit on. So, and I own the leaps on knee. And then if it dips down below 80, I'll buy them back cheap. And if it goes back to 85, I'll sell them again like clockwork. JDO. Target price in Solana this weekend or wait? Yeah. Well, Solana seems to be following Ethereum. So when Ethereum goes up, Solana goes up. So if you look at the... Actually, speaking of... No. I thought it bumped. So Solana right now is up 8.6%. And Ethereum is up 8.8%. So they're tracking almost perfectly today. So Solana's just following Ethereum. Ethereum is at a huge day. It's up above 3,300. $270 a day. Amazing. Like my cost basis for Ethereum is $200 and it's up 270 today. So it's absolutely crazy strength. I don't know. I tried to buy Solana under $40. That could easily be a $50 stock this weekend too. If Ethereum does what I think it's going to do, and if Bitcoin goes to 50,000, that'll be a game changer. It's a big psychological level. I think everything could really pump hard. So we'll see. Target price to buy though now would be $42, $43 in any type of dip, if there is any type of dip. And it just is going from strength to strength. Oliver Santos, if Sol is too hot right now, or is $45 a good deal? It was 44 a few minutes ago. And what is it now? This space is moving so fast. It is absolutely crazy. $44.83. Yeah, it just spiked up. It's just minutes ago. I don't know what to say. I can't give investment advice. But yeah, if you don't have any, grab a little bit even at $44 and just bite the bullet and then wait. So we'll see. Coin Bitsy, thoughts on CRO? So as you know, we've analyzed the CEL token. We've analyzed the FTT token. The CRO token is in the process. I shouldn't say that. Somebody's going to do it tomorrow. So, anyway, it looks pretty good. All these tokens are pretty good, but you've got to be able to use them for activities. So for example, if you're borrowing or lending, Celsius token makes all the world to hold. Americans can't hold it. I'm sure CRO token is the same thing. FTT token, same thing. If you're a heavy trader, you should hold it. There's lots of benefits come from holding it. So stay tuned for CRO. We will give a better update real soon. Jimmy God, excluding my Bitcoin and ETH, if I earned enough from my alts to pay off my mortgage, should I pay off my mortgage? Leave me 1K a month to invest. Yeah, so the interesting thing about that is if you are investing $1,000 a month in the market over, say, 5 years during the most transformational time of our lives, you're buying in as the prices go up. So you are DCAing in, which is good. But if if you have money from your alts to pay off your mortgage and your mortgage payment's only $1,000, I would leave your mortgage. Keep it as long as it's at a fixed rate and it doesn't affect your standard of living, and just keep your alts or pivot your alts into Bitcoin on a dip, or move to cash at a high and then buy Bitcoin on a dip and hold it, because your Bitcoin performance will probably be better. 99% chance it'll be better than your mortgage. So for sure. Max Power, would you flip out of Google for Solana? No, I still hold Google. I still am absolutely bullish in Google. In fact, I read another article today that Google will be the leader for the metaverse in the world. Not Facebook, not Amazon, not Apple. It'll be Google. So Google has so much value and goodness. Everybody needs to own some Google. So no, Solana may go more, but I have different pockets of where I invest: real estate, equities, and crypto. And I try to keep my little bag separate. Ronnie Oliveira, what do you think about Quantum? Any price predictions? No, that's not on our list either. Let me check on Quantum real quick. That sounds like it's outside the top 100. Bear with me 1 second. And no, it's number 77. Oh, it's one of those ones that's been around for a long time. So I don't like cryptos that have been around for 5 years, apart from the old steady ones, because if they haven't done anything for a long period of time, it's not a good sign. And very quickly, at least circulating supply is okay. It's not really that inflationary. I don't know. It's one that never ever. It's a smart contract. There's so many smart contracts platforms. I mean, how good are they going to be? Are they going to beat Algorand? Because I'm on the thinking about getting rid of Algorand. So I can take a brief look later, Ronnie, but it doesn't look that impressive to me, especially because it's so old. The new smart contracts platforms are far better. Thanks for your donation as well. Pedro, Inez, Carola, David, and Omalis. You guys are so kind. Captain Blag, Bitcoin Head, A1, there you are again. And Abhishek Jain. You guys are all very, very kind. And I don't know if that's a wrap. Hopefully, no more super chats. Okay, then this is it. Because I need to drink some coffee. All right, that's Dancing Horse again. Do you have a price prediction for Kusama? Not yet. But good news from Crypto Dadoc. Kusama went through our top 100 crypto model, and it came out really good. So Kusama is now in the top 20, and we're using that to profile what we go into next. Theta as well came out really good, really strong. So you guys sometimes give some good advice. So I will work on a price prediction for you as well. Stay tuned for that. Abhishek, I got ADA at $1.40. Should I sell and buy some Sol? Well, you're making profit. Congratulations. Yeah, but well, a lot of people are so bullish on Cardano. So what's going to happen now is, because of the Alonzo Purple, there's so much hype and so much bullishness that everybody's frenzying around Cardano. And what typically happens is, people buy the hype and then sell the actual launch. And that could happen. So you may want to ride the Cardano train for a little longer, especially if you get closer to $2.50, $3, then offload, because we've just seen how fast Cardano moves. It's really been very impressive. Like from $1 in June 22nd to $2 today, that's a double. Although tons of other things have gone up 100% as well. But it's still pretty impressive. So I think there's just a lot of good news around it. Or you could also play, sell half, stick half in Sol, and just watch the two horses run and see which one performs better. Dancing Horses. Any good YouTubers you recommend to learn to trade in stocks like you do? Online courses? I don't know. I don't watch. I don't watch YouTube to learn how to trade, so I have no idea. But that's a good one. It's what I do is I do a combination of different things. I'm not just a stock trader. So I look at what I call the 8-cylinder engine. If you've seen some of my older videos, you look at fundamental analysis and technical analysis and macro. You look at the sector, you identify the stocks, you analyze their reports, their 10Ks and 10Qs. You get a feel for the business. You study them, you read every news release, you know the earnings cycle, you know their history. Once you do all that yourself, you got to do everything well, then you're in good shape. But sometimes in this world, people are very single-threaded and say, oh, like even on the internet for crypto, there's guys that are just pure TA, pure TA, pure TA. It's like I was saying from day one, crypto is money. Money flows, not TA. TA is an indicator, but it doesn't tell you what's happening. And that's why sometimes some of the TA guys get very confused. It's like, oh, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to stay flat for the next 3 months, whatever. This is why it's important to look at everything. And I'm going to do a refresher, actually, of exactly how to do that. And you give me an idea for a video, Dancing Horse. Thank you for that. JR, would you be able to quickly check risk matrix for Phantom Layer 1? Yes, I don't think... Is Phantom in the top 100? I don't think it is, because it doesn't ring a bell. And I was staring at them all day. And... hold on a second. Ooh, now it's number 98. It did not make the cut. Let me see what I can decipher here real quick. Wow, it's beginning to move today as well. In the space platform enterprise solutions, yeah, it did not make the top 100, I'm afraid, but we can add it to the list. Now we have a system set up so it doesn't take that long to run things through the numbers. And JR, we can check Phantom. Thank you. John Johnson, that's a cool name. The Bitcoin 2022 conference will be in April at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Do you have any plans to go or anything like it? Yes, I will be there. April's a special month. Sign me up. And thanks for your donation as well. Tesla in the Gong, Kelton Johnson, Brent Budd, Jeeves, he said nobody wants to buy gold. Well, Mr. Schiff is having palpitations. You're too funny, Jeeves. Though there's a cool article, Google it today. Nobody wants to buy the rocks. It's what it's called. And it's very, very funny. MS, could you please check TRB Oracle? It's my dark horse. I can have a look. Again, fishing outside the top 100 is dangerous. And TRB is outside the top 100, I think, because I haven't heard of it before. And number 370. Very dark horse. And... wow. Yeah, so a lot of red flags there. Including no max supply. So I don't like things without a max supply. It means I can just print forever. Like fiat money. So that's my quick assessment of TRB. MS, thank you so much. And we're going to wrap up. Running for the Crown, you're back again. What animal would you be, brother? Owns 30. Oh, wow. $13 million LFC. Congratulations to your brother. Tell him to sell it and buy Bitcoin. That's what I do. Unless he's completely loaded anyway. If I could be an animal, I would be a tiger. That's one of my favorites. Or an elephant. Elephant or a tiger. Well, the other. Pulver 117. Or an orangutan. Pulver 117. What do you see need going up to this upswing? Only $90. And then that's kind of the top. It becomes overvalued. And the reason I invested in NE at about $50 was because I believe in kind of green energy, Green New Deal. And that was my safe utility play. I always like to have an anchor. So when I build a portfolio, I like a couple of things that if the whole market tanks, there'll be stuff that goes up. Because like even on red days, my portfolio is geared in such a way so it's at least worst case scenario, it kind of stays flat. And that's why I have things like Nextera Energy in there. So, but I think $90 is definitely the top. If it goes beyond, who knows? Maybe with the infrastructure bill, it could go a lot higher. I had anticipated the Green New Deal. That's why I first got into Nextera Energy. Went from 50 to 85 now, whatever it is. So we'll see. But I think 90 is a good valuation. Excellent questions, and we should almost be done. Little time, Sosa. When the crypto market crash, how far do you think Bitcoin and ETH will drop? So I've answered this a few times, and I hope I'm not boring people by answering it again. But I think, actually I replied to a tweet for Benjamin Cowan on Twitter today. I think cycles, like he thinks, are becoming much longer. And I think the impact of the halving is becoming less. I think the adoption is becoming more widespread of things like Bitcoin. So the crypto winter may not be anywhere near as bad as what we've seen before. There will be no such thing as an 85% retracement. It might be 30, 40, 50%, and that's it. And it could be a very quick V-shaped recovery. And there could even be cryptos that don't even get impacted. Like if DeFi does begin really to take off, things like Ethereum, as it becomes deflationary, could continue to just go up or at least stay flat. So it's crazy, but you have to put things in perspective. What I try and do is look at the market caps of these cryptos and compare them to real life businesses. And if their market caps are completely out of the stratosphere, then they're the ones that are going to be hit hard. Like I see so many names, like there's thousands of cryptos right now that have $250 million valuations and they don't do anything. And it's just unrealistic. So there will be time to pay the piper for sure. Craig Parkin, would you consider creating an investment fund? Nope, no interest. The reason for that is I don't need to. And you can never make everybody happy. Some people want more risk, some people want less risk, more return, and it's just too much legal headache and everything else. I'd rather teach people how to fish rather than fish for them. Hope that makes sense. Black Crypto Walker, if Bitcoin is a store of value, why is it marketed as a purchasing product all the time? I think it's the narrative of Bitcoin got confused along the way. Even the whole space of cryptocurrencies is just a stupid name because they're not currencies. There's so many different functions and forms out there. So it is a very bad idea. In fact, I quoted an Indian professor from New York University, I think yesterday, and he said 3 years ago, Bitcoin failed as a currency. It's not a currency. It's a store of value. It's digital gold. And I think this bull market now, having that new narrative has helped people understand exactly what it is. And it makes it much better. However, for sovereign states to adopt the Bitcoin standard, they need the rails like Lightning and Strike. And that's why once those things are established and we're almost there, you'll be able to go buy a coffee with your Bitcoin. And I have a vision, like I'm already allocating crypto to spend for life. So I put some crypto in PayPal so I could be able to use PayPal to buy things from merchants using crypto. And the tax headache will be a headache down the line, but that's kind of the way I see things going. So we're nearly there, Black Crypto Walker. Time to go, everybody. I'm under orders to kill it. I could just talk with you guys forever. But before I go, I want to see exactly what's happening. We just switched to the new market. Basically, we are now at 1700 UTC. So this is always an interesting time. It hits at 5 p.m. Pacific when the markets flip and it becomes a new day. And, oh my God, Algorand is up. It's the second best performing, second best. Unbelievable. We're talking about Algorand. It hasn't moved. Maybe it'll move at last. It's moving right now. That's great. And AMP is up. Doge. Oh my God. Yeah, so it's a brand new day. Let's check out Ethereum. 3317. Yes, we finished up during the talk. And Bitcoin. Wow. Yes. So for whatever reason, when I'm here talking to you guys all, things pump. And I don't know why it is. And I'm very grateful. And thank you, everybody. Have a happy Friday night. And I'll see you over the weekend. Bye.